started not looking well, started just being a little bit stiff and sore. And then we got into the high fevers, and they would spike kind of first thing in the morning and then later at night. And he'd feel unwell in the evening until he got Tylenol and it kicked in. Overnight, I remember one night his fever spiked to 106. I called the ambulance because I've never heard of a fever going that high, but they assured me that everything was okay. And so it was strange because in the morning and the evening he'd be very sore. But when he was at daycare, I'd call a couple of times a day and they'd say, he's fine running around. So that's why it even really took me and my dad as parents a while to kind of, realize maybe this is something quite, severe. We just didn't know.
And what did the doctors say?
The doctors didn't know at first. And like I said, he would be fine during the day. But then when he started showing signs of the rash, and getting the fever often and stuff like that, then we would take him to the doctor. Blood work would be kind of totally out of whack, but it didn't necessarily point to one thing in particular. They did a lot of tests at the hospital to rule other things out.
And so then once you had a diagnosis, how did figuring out the treatment go? Tell me about that.
It actually was, we're really fortunate in that respect. We saw the rheumatology doctor in Saskatoon, and he wanted to see signs of the arthritis before he actually diagnosed him with SJIA. And although he was sore, he didn't actually, you couldn't see the arthritis. So after he saw the arthritis, he diagnosed him, right away started him on steroids. I can't remember if there was something else he was started on. And then they started the process of approval for biologics, is the new kind of type of medication. So once that got approved, he started on that. And the first medication he was put on worked right away and has worked ever since.
So what is biologics? How does it work? Do you know?
I don't know a lot about it. What I do, the limited knowledge I have on it is, from what I understand, it's an immunosuppressant, but instead of suppressing the entire immune system, it kind of pinpoints exactly what to suppress. And I guess in that way, he's still a little bit immunocompromised, but not like he would be if he was on a total immunosuppressant. So it attacks, I guess, what it needs to, and that's kind of it.
What were the worst symptoms, and how was his day-to-day when he was at his sickest with this?
I remember, well, I have a couple of really just memorable things. As we stopped at the park one day on the way home, and it was summer. We stopped at the park and I was kind of helping him, they have stairs now at most parks, so I was helping him up the stairs, and he couldn't walk up the stairs. And another morning, I remember he was in my room and he was trying to put his socks on, and he was bending over and he was, but he's 3.5 at the time. He just wants to be so independent. Didn't understand why he couldn't do that anymore. So, and of course, both of those times, seeing your baby like that is really heartbreaking. So those are the two most memorable times for me.
And what's it like now that he's been taking the medicine? What's his life like now?
He is back to his normal self. He was the most active boy I've ever seen before it, and now he's back to that. Like I said, within a week he was back to his normal self. So it's a miracle. It really is.
Tell me about the Family Match program.
The Family Match program is very new to Saskatchewan. I believe that I was one of the first ones to be trained in it. I don't think they've launched it yet province-wide. As far as I know, they might be doing that in March at the Family Day. Basically what it is they connect me with other parents who are newly diagnosed, that have children with childhood arthritis that have been newly diagnosed. Like I said, I haven't had to do it yet, but just kind of thinking as to what I would have liked when he was diagnosed. It's overwhelming. You're getting all of this information at once from the doctors and the nurses, and they're wonderful. You don't have time to process it though, and maybe ask the right questions at the time. I think it's going to be great just to hear you're not alone in this. Other people have been through it, there's support. Seeing how he's been through it, we can maybe, I can touch base with them about different community for funding, for supports if they need, that type of thing.